Ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy, the West Coast Voice, Davey Dangerously, coming at you once again, as always, with my brothers, Armbar Salazar.
I can't see the guns because I got the long
sleeves. You got the long sleeves.
There's some guns under here, though.
And Rated R Salazar, the Brothers of Destruction.
It's about damn time.
Yeah, welcome to episode 66. This is official.
We have an award.
We have an award. It's not 2018, but this is our year-end award.
This is our year 2018 year-end award.
Well, to be fair, we were supposed to get together 2 weeks before New Year's, and then we had some stuff going on, and we always got
together last week, and it was David's fault.
Yeah, so
I got some stuff burned off my face. I look like a patient.
So it is 2019. We're 2 weeks into the new year. There's already crazy shit going on in 2019 in the wrestling world.
There's always crazy shit going on.
But we are going to go back, and this is probably in my face.
Sorry, pal.
Let's do this.
Let's do that. Let's get that award in.
Let's get that award in here. Sorry. Our sponsors, Wrestle Crate, we appreciate you.
Love you to
Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm sorry, Pro Wrestling Tees.
I wish they sponsored us.
You're shooting on collar and elbow?
Collar and elbow. I love you guys. Thank you for being our sponsors.
Al Snow, you're the
We're
best.
going to put our award right here. This is the Ring Crüe Annual Year-End Award. So we're going to
We gotta come up with a name with that.
Right
Like the
there.
Crüe, like the.
We put it out there. We didn't get a whole lot of response.
We got a couple. They weren't
but-
that good. Oh, they weren't not good, but they're not one that would stick.
Yeah, we couldn't figure out.
Internally, we call them the Crües.
Crües, which is kind of
Stupid.
weird.
It's a microphone, I call it the Mikeys.
The golden mic, but it's not gold. It has some gold trim.
Yeah, so
The gold trim microphone on a black bass.
that's what it's called.
That's
The
what it's called now.
2018 gold
Trim microphone on a black bass.
Wow. Wow.
Just rolls off the tongue.
But yeah, we are going to look back on 2018, the year that was in professional wrestling, and we're going to give our favorites. Not necessarily the best or the greatest or whatever, but just our favorites, So
People that stood out to us, that popped to us.
yeah, they may not be nationally or worldly recognized or whatever the case may be. These are our favorites because this is our fucking show and we can do whatever we want.
Do whatever the hell we want. We run this shit.
It's the first time I dropped an F-bomb.
Armbar's going Rated R. He's still in the gimmick.
We're going to do our top 3 promotion. Moment of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Woman of the Year, Man of the Year, and we're going to end it with the Match of the Year.
Woo.
Yeah, this guy, he's drooling over here.
Man.
So
again, I have long sleeves, but I got goosebumps.
I can see him on your hand. He's excited. He's excited. As always, I think I start it. Rated R goes second, and you always bring us in. Act 3, if you will. The go home. All right, so promotion of the year. We're going to keep it simple this year because I've noticed that these past 3 years that we've done this, it's been our longest running show. So we want to, we don't want to bore you. It's usually
1
our
year
longest.
we went like an hour and a half.
Yeah, and we had 2 takes because our camera took a shit.
We're having 13 views on that one too.
Yeah, no one liked that one.
So we're going to try to keep this one a little short, hopefully under an hour.
No,
but stick with us. It's going to be good.
What do you have? Your honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions. I have a few this year.
All right,
not too
all right.
many. I cut it short.
All right, so promotion of the year, number 3 for me is New Japan. And I kind of, it's hard, but only because my number 2 is Ring of Honor, and I thought Ring of Honor is more accessible to me.
Right.
And
like we said, this is our
right.
Things that we watch more, things
right.
like that. Yeah.
I watch more Ring of Honor, and a lot of the people that we know in the business are affiliated with Ring of Honor, so I know a lot of guys have been doing extra work for them when they come to Vegas and stuff like that. And so that's why I chose that. And number 1 for me, NXT.
And again, we're excluding WWE as a whole this year.
That's
because always, right?
Always, because they're the top dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Impact.
That's what I was saying.
If I had an honorable mention, it would be Impact because
Impact's coming up.
it's coming back.
They got that new Pursuit channel, the Pursuit Network.
Which I still don't have.
Do you have DirecTV?
I don't.
Oh.
Do you guys have it?
I don't.
Yeah,
You know what? I do.
It's
actually.
channel
I'm sorry.
604.
Yeah, I'm
604 on DirecTV.
604.
Yeah.
I don't have it.
Go ahead. What
I got
are
it.
you?
Rated R.
Promotions of the year, I same as Davey Boy. I got number 3, New Japan. Huge fan of New Japan. Huge fan of everything that they're doing. Just the Wrestle Kingdoms they're just right up there. Number 2 hasn't even come out yet, and I'm already calling it a promotion of the year. Is AEW?
It wasn't even in 2018.
It wasn't 2018. But we're filming in 2019. They have garnered so much interest, even before the year was up.
We're going to talk about them on our next episode, but go ahead.
Even before the year was up, there were talks about it.
Right.
There was being the elite mentioned it. Cody Rhodes was talking to you, so you knew it was coming. You knew it was coming,
okay.
And just the fact that the Young Bucks, who we can't even say are tag teams because they transcend all tag teams. I mean, we can never mention them as being a favorite tag or a top tag team. They turned down like what, $2 million deals from Triple H and Vince McMahon,
something like that.
And they even had a stipulation in those contracts, which WWE never ever puts. And they signed them to 6-month contracts with an option of getting out if they want to get out.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, fuck.
I did.
Did you know that? Yeah. So WWE doesn't do that. They don't do that for people. And the Young Bucks, they did that. And so for them to take it and say, thank you, but no. And Triple H is still they're on their good radar. They're still good. They're still they're still talking. And this all happened. This was going on in 2018 to get the ball rolling. 2019 they say, hey, this is what we're doing. And we were expecting it, and so that my number 2 is AEW.
Okay.
They weren't around 2018, but they mentioned, and
they were trademarked in 2018.
That's right. They were trademarked in 2018, and I'm for one is looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys, but I am seriously considering flying for the first time ever to Vegas in what May 25th. I'm thinking about it. It's just a real strong pull. And my number 1 is as always NXT. They right now their storylines, their matches, everything they got going on is the shit, And if I did have an honorable mention, that would be NXT UK because
they're coming up too.
Oh man, Takeover? Oh
yeah.
We'll talk more about that.
That was 2019.
That was 2019.
All right. So moving on. My 3 promotions. I have Ring of Honor actually at number 3. For me, they're awesome. It's great to see that they're signing all kinds of new names. Jeff Cobb, PCO, Brody King, Bandito. So they have all kinds of new stuff going on for, closing out 2018, going into 2019. They're going to have an awesome 2019 in 2018, they sold out Madison Square Garden with the help of New Japan. So excuse me. So that's going to, a huge deal. So I honestly see Ring of Honor I see them going up again this year, keep going up higher and higher. So good luck to them. They're a favorite of mine. Number 2, New Japan for me. I mean, what's there to say about New Japan? The wrestling is phenomenal. Gato does amazing booking. From what I hear is he does it all by himself.
Oh wow!
He writes all storylines, all matches, everything in a notebook, and he's booked 2 years out. He has 2 years booked. And if anything happens, injuries or something, they just go in and erase and make some changes. But that's pretty impressive. And to have the guys that they have, excuse me, Okada and Tanahashi still running the show. Kenny Omega had an amazing year, still with them. Cody had an amazing year with them. The Bucks, Naito, all of LIJ, everything was just great. The Dominion show was off the hook. Wrestle Kingdom, as always, is off the hook. I was at the G1 special in San Francisco. Man, that was amazing. If I had to pick, if we were picking live shows that we were at this year, that would be my top live show that I've been to this year. Cody and Kenny in the ladder match, and just
phenomenal,
amazing. And then as always, number 1 NXT. Excuse me. NXT put on from the beginning of the year, take over Philadelphia, take over New Orleans, take over Chicago, take over New York, back to Brooklyn.
Even their weekly shows on WWE Network.
Yeah, I mean, every show just got better. They had the amazing feud this year with Gargano and Ciampa, Aleister Black being thrown in and out of there. Velveteen Dream's rise. I mean, the rise of the tag team guys, Undisputed Era, War Raiders, everybody. NXT is on fire and just burning bright, man. It's going to keep going hot in 2019.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So NXT sweeps the board. Let's see if we can do it for the next one. Next one we're going to do is Moment of the Year. So many great moments in professional wrestling. Number 3 for me was Cody Rhodes winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship at All In against Nick Aldis, continuing that Rhodes legacy. And I knew that he wasn't going to keep the title for that long, but just him winning it and the whole storyline, tremendous. Number 2 for me was your guy, Daniel Bryan, making his return to professional wrestling after
I like it.
2.5, 3 years of not competing. He pulled the Shawn Michaels and made his return to prominence, and now he's the World Heavyweight Champion.
Right.
Tremendous. And number 1 for me is Becky Lynch standing tall in the crowd, bloody as shit with her hands up.
Yeah, that was an amazing.
She came in, just wreaked havoc, got her shit busted open, got knocked out on her feet, still kicking ass, and still had enough to go up there, do that pose. It's an iconic pose.
She was
Concussed. She was. She had
Tremendous.
glossy eyes, and that you took my top 3 right there. That was right there. Cody Rhodes coming up in there and just getting the NWA title that his father held, like just going full circle. All we need to see is Goldust holding it, and then so inadvertently number 1 with Becky Lynch being one of the top moment for us with that bloody face. So almost like Nia Jax made our number 1 too then, because she's the one that gave it to her. So
The irresistible force.
irresistible force.
Samoan now.
Just knowing that Becky Lynch, I mean, they show the clip after the fact, and you see Becky Lynch bloody, and you're like, shit, what happened? So then they show the clip after the fact, and you see, Nia Jax connecting, but then they cut back, and Becky Lynch is standing there, and the audience is just all right there, and she's looking at the ring, and she's got her bloody face, and you fucking knew she was made right there, like she was made. She was climbing, she was a champion, she was the man. She was doing everything she was doing, and still, people were loving her, and then bam, you fucking get hit in the face, and
He's mad.
I know, right?
you become a made man. So Becky
Literally.
Lynch, you're a made man.
Cool. That's very cool. I got a few of the same moments. I do have a few honorable mentions. I'll be quick. Because so many great things happened.
I know.
this
That's
year.
true. That's true.
Some of them just really stood out to me. I just wanted to point them out real quick. Ronda Rousey's debut match. That was amazing moment for her, for women's wrestling, for WrestleMania. Like, nobody expected it.
No.
And to say
They were expecting the people to
say
hate her.
to say that Stephanie McMahon is involved in one of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever, that's crazy, right? But Ronda really just, with the help of everybody, Kurt Angle, Triple H held it down. Stephanie did it for her own, on her part, did a great job. Drake Younger was the referee. That he worked a lot with her at the Performance Center.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So I think he really worked with her at the Performance Center. So that was good that he got to referee that match. Awesome. Dean Ambrose's heel turn on the night that Roman announced he had leukemia. Oh my God, right? What a bastard. The Women's Evolution pay-per-view, that was amazing. The whole pay-per-view was amazing, but that's awesome for them. Ricochet's double moonsault off the War Games cage.
Yeah.
That was he's done a couple of those double moonsaults before in Japan, but this one on this scale off the cage
For the American audience.
Titus World Slide, that was cool. Okay, but my number 3. These are my number 3.
That still wasn't your list?
No, that was my honorable mention.
Oh my God.
Daniel Bryan's return. You mentioned it already. Awesome for a big fan like myself. Such a fantastic moment. That would have been my number 1, but this year has been so great. There's been so many moments. But seeing Daniel Bryan return, his comeback speech, talking about how, if you, what was the word? I forget the wording he used.
If you persevere and you
put in the
hard work and you believe in yourself, then you're gonna And then he turns heel.
Exactly.
Oh,
that was even that's a moment in of itself right there. But his comeback was amazing. Number 2, I have as Becky's bloody face incident there. That's my number 2 moment. Awesome. You guys already said it all. Becky's the man. I got to meet her this year, which was amazing.
Damn you.
How'd she smell?
She smelled lovely. She
Delicious.
smelled like flowers, like fresh cut flowers. Yeah.
For some reason, I always thought she smelled like beer. I don't know.
No. Pint of Guinness.
Bangers and mash. Guinness.
No, she was an amazing, amazing person.
Boiled cabbage.
And and there's a lot of different fan interactions that people have. Sometimes people say, oh, you meet these wrestlers and they're assholes, they're this, and nothing could have been further from the truth for that. Becky was amazing. She spent so much time with each of her fans. She, on a personal note, she did something for me. I don't want to get too much into it, but I have a friend at work who's got a son who's dealing with some health issues, and Becky, he's a big wrestling fan, and Becky made a little video for him
awesome.
Gave me a few minutes of her time and actually said some well wishes. So that was really cool.
That's
so,
cool.
She's awesome. So it was to see that moment where she was like became the man. Now that's like almost the moment of the year for me. That was awesome.
She made a bloody face look hot.
Right. And my number one, I was thinking about going with the Cody Rhodes moment, but I actually went with All In as a whole.
Yeah.
The whole event of All In literally changed the face of wrestling.
Absolutely.
It did.
They're
on WWE's radar. And,
they took the challenge from Meltzer about selling out a 10,000 seat arena. They sold 11,100 and something or
within
whatever.
what minutes?
Within 30 minutes, and they put on. They didn't just sell it out and just go out there and like, oh well, we already sold out the show. We can put on any match. They went out there and put on the best matches they could have put on. I mean, Hangman Page and Joey Janela put on a match.
Tremendous.
Amazing. Excuse me, Kenny Omega and Pentagon or Penta Cero. That was amazing. I mean, all up and down the whole card. The main event was unbelievable. So, and what it did for them and for wrestling as a whole, I think it gave them the confidence to move forward with All Elite Wrestling. So it gave them it sparked the idea. All In was the genesis of All Elite Wrestling. So I think, I said it changed the face of wrestling. There's not much else you can say. It was amazing, and I think based off of All In, All Elite's going to be, if it's anything like All In, it's going to be amazing.
There's got countless names like vying to go there,
Yeah.
and WWE's in a rush to sign all their guys, and ROH is in a rush to sign all their guys because they're afraid, they're scared, and this is a promotion that hasn't even started yet,
Right.
Officially, and already they've got their competition afraid, and that's a good thing. That's a real good thing because that just means it's better for us fans.
Yeah.
Yep, it's all about the fans, and the future's bright with AEW. So kudos to those guys, kudos to the Bucks and Cody. So right now we're going to move on to Tag Team of the Year. Number 3 for me is the Uso Penitentiary. Those guys have reinvented themselves. Like, I think after last year's WrestleMania, they won the titles like the week before WrestleMania, and they changed their whole gimmick and their outfits and their, no more like silly dancing and all that.
Hey,
I'm not silly, but it was
Samoan tradition.
No, but it was very.
I apologize to all our Samoan viewers.
I love
We
Samoans.
apologize for hashtag white privilege.
No. I'm just saying it got repetitive every week. It got repetitive. That is what was silly.
Okay.
Not the whole tradition of the sacred haka. Forget about it. Don't at me at all, fans.
Any hate mail, you deliver that to at Debbie Dangerously.
Yeah. Number 2 for me was the bar.
The bar.
They didn't just set the bar. They are the bar. Those guys, they weren't even supposed to be a tag team, and when they became a tag team, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Won the tag team championships. They kind of faltered for a little bit, and they moved to SmackDown, but now they're back. They're the champions. So kudos to those guys. And number 1 for me, the Undisputed Era as a whole, all 4 members, because that belt just kind of
floats.
It floats. So
Freebird rule.
The Freebird rule, brother. And man, those guys are just the dirty shit heels.
Yeah, scumbags.
They're scumbags, and I got to see them live, and they're scumbags, not just on TV. They're scumbags in every show. They get so much heel heat. It's tremendous. They deserve to be champions, and kudos to those guys. Those are my 1, 2, 3s. How about you, Rated R Salazar? I know you got a list.
I got a list.
You actually got a list.
I actually got my list. My number 3, and they're not supposed to be a tag team either, but they found their niche, was Chad Gable.
The following announcement has been paid for by the MWO.
Knock, knock, ring losers. Guess who I've got with me? You've heard of Superfan Randy. Well, I got with me Super Hacker Randy.
Looks like I just broke the internet.
Oh, yeah!
Queen Dangerously, armbar, salad bar, rated G, the Ring Who. Win if you can, survive if I let you.
Look at this merch here. Bunch of crap. Ring Crüe, you better know what's happening now. We're tired of your games.
It's showtime, folks!
That's right, ring losers. You know what? I'm sick and tired of you coming in to my tournament. King of the March 1, King of the March 2, the March Strike Back. I made that tournament for us to win, for our glory, and not once, but 2 times. The Ring Crüe's come in, and you've won the tournament, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. So what's gonna happen now? Just when you think you have the answers, I change the question. Clearly you know more about wrestling past than us. But guess what? We're switching it up to wrestling future. That's right, Ring Crüe. We're going to be challenging you guys to a pay-per-view prediction challenge. So let's see what you got. King Dangerously, your kingdom is a joke. I'd rather be banished than have to live in that fairy tale. Woo!
Bye-bye, ring losers.
That's why they're my number one. Because, I mean, right now, they can't be touched. I mean, you know?
Oh, how are you gonna beat that? You gotta beat that.
I got a list.
Jeez.
Yeah, and actually this year on my list, despite the fact that I love WWE, and there's so many great tag teams, none of my guys on my list are on the main roster of WWE. So,
wow.
Number 3, I have Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven.
Oh. Did you see them recently with the Bulldog?
Yes,
oh man, the homage.
Yeah, the homage to the Bulldogs. Again in 2019. But
it's our show, goddamn.
But in 2018, they had a hell of a year, winning the NXT tag team titles from Undisputed Era over in England. So in their hometown, their home crowd. So that was really cool. And then losing them back. It was a regular NXT show.
I think it was a regular NXT show.
And that match was amazing. That was one of the 3 WWE matches that Dave Meltzer gave 5 stars to. Give him a 5-star match on a regular NXT weekly show. Just the build up. I mean, the injury to Trent Seven. I mean, just the way it.
And seeing him come back with his dad bod. Yeah.
He does have a dad bod. Tyler Bate throwing in the towel and then, losing the titles. I mean, it was like such a great story. They had so many good matches this year, man. Like, it's just every one of their matches just gets better and better. They won. It's still in 2018. They were in the tournament to go on, and they did go on to the NXT UK tag titles. We'll talk about that later. They didn't win them, but it's still hell of matches for those guys. So that's why they're number 3.
I'm still pissed they don't use Tyler Bates' original song, "The Fake Sledgehammer." Damn you!
That's a good one.
To be.
Damn you!
Number 2, I had it as a tie this year. 2 teams both impressed me, and I couldn't decide. But we've talked about the Bucks already so much. The Young Bucks was one of my teams. Their match with the Golden Lovers at LA.
Do it! When he's having to tell him to hit his back.
Yeah,
oh my god.
That was one of probably the tag team match of the year.
Yeah.
Their match against LIJ in San Francisco, the 6-man tag at All In, and just everything they did with All Elite Wrestling, All In, all that stuff. So that tie with the Lucha Bros, Penta and Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
MLW tag team champions. PWG tag team champions. Just now in 2019, they won the the Impact Championship. But hell of a run in Impact this year. Just in Lucha Underground. Excuse me, both of them have done big things. Penta was the world champion, but as a team, they're just phenomenal. They're brothers. They have so much chemistry. I mean, who's your better partner than your brother? You know what I'm saying? Like,
unless you're Cain and Abel.
Or Kane and Undertaker. Sorry, buddy. Your blood, too. But, so I have them tied for number 2. And my number 1 is also the Undisputed Era.
Nice.
Starting in January at NXT TakeOver Philly, they wrestled AOP.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing. And then in April, Roderick Strong officially joined them at TakeOver NOLA.
That dirty son of a bitch.
Yeah, that match was amazing, too. Roderick and Pete Dunne versus the Undisputed Era. And then, them Roderick turning, them winning the titles, and the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Yeah.
So, man, that was awesome. I mean, we already said it. The real pieces of shit, and we love them.
Right? Oh, yeah. Okay, you matched my list. All right.
All right, and we're moving along here. The woman of the year.
Female superstar.
Female of the year. That's it. This has been like the year of the woman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just whew,
Deservingly
so. Yeah. Yes. So let's start it. So number 3 for me is a trio of ladies.
Uh-oh.
A trio.
Uh-oh.
I'm talking about the Riot Squad.
Yeah.
I freaking love the Riot Squad. Now
they're all over.
if you see all of these 3 ladies apart, you got a Viking chick and a punk rock chick and a bubblegum whatever Liv Morgan is.
Oh, wow, yeah, right?
When they're separate, you're like, they would be a terrible trio, but you put them together and it fucking works.
Yeah, it doesn't work on paper.
It doesn't work on paper, but man, and when they came, they came hard and heavy.
Yeah.
And
They started a riot.
They started a riot, and I love all 3 of these women. Liv is kind of like the least experienced, but she's not a bad wrestler.
Yeah, she holds her own in there.
She holds her own.
She's better than Brie Bella.
Yeah, she got her face kicked in this year, and
Yeah.
she toughed it out, man. She proved her grit.
Yeah. And, I mean, Sarah Logan is just a beast.
She's badass.
She
man.
is a badass.
Just don't give her the mic.
Yeah.
I love her.
I don't know.
I love her Kentucky high-pitched voice. I love it.
Yeah. And
She was an alligator wrestler, wasn't she?
Something like
In
that.
real life, I
Probably,
believe.
yeah.
I think she is.
I
yeah.
believe it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then Ruby Riott, man, she impresses me more and more with each match. She's a perfect shit heel. The whole thing with Natty.
That,
And
yeah.
The Jim Neidhart on the
that
table.
was tremendous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kudos to her. Number 2 is Asuka. Asuka came in this year
Nobody's ready for us.
Nobody was ready, and at first they kind of weren't ready for her. She made her main roster debut and lost the streak.
In a hell of a match.
In a hell
That was
of a
a great match.
WrestleMania.
That was a great match.
One of the greatest
Yeah.
women's matches of all time.
Phenomenal. And then she kind of just shit the bed and
Kind of fell off the radar there.
And all of a
I
sudden,
don't know if it was anything in her fault.
Right.
It was just kind of writing and booking and
And I think the main roster fans, because not everybody watches NXT and the main roster, they really were not ready for Asuka.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
now
Yeah.
she's the champ. You know, she won the vacated title, and yeah,
in a
another crazy
another-
match.
Right?
the triple threat TLC match,
Yeah.
which was off the
Phenomenal.
chains. Yeah.
And my number 1, Becky Lynch. No one had the year Becky Lynch had. Not a man, not a woman, not a tag team, nobody. And this is going multiple organizations, promotions.
Right.
Nobody had the year that Becky Lynch had. So Becky Lynch is my number 1. I shouldn't even had a top 3. It should have just been Becky for 3, Becky for 2, and Becky for 1. Rated R, who do you got?
Number 3, I'm going with Asuka. She just, it's good to see her back on top.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see her where we like to see her. We're fans of her. We're ready for her. And I'm glad she's there. Number 2 is going to be Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, hell of a year. She's the women's champion right now on Raw. And she's doing great.
As we're talking about this, Raw is on.
Raw is
and
on
they are
right now
showing
in the
the
background,
women-
so they're all
showing
there.
the women there.
And the number 1 pick is I was a fan of her father's. I'm a fan of hers. Is Tessa Blanchard. Tessa Blanchard had a phenomenal year in Impact.
Knockouts champion.
Knockouts champion. She was also on Women of Wrestling. I think she was vying for their title as well. And just like I said, I was a huge fan of her father's, and I'm a fan of hers. And Tessa Blanchard.
Both fathers?
Well, that's right, Magnum TA and Tully. No, her blood father. So no, yeah,
That's a good pick. She deserves.
Tessa
she deserves
Blanchard
to be on the list. Yeah.
needs to be on the list.
She was on my
she's
honorable
there.
mentions.
She's there.
All right, for my top three, I have number 3 as Ronda Rousey. Like we already discussed, her WrestleMania debut was amazing. She put on some fantastic matches this year with like the likes of Nia Jax, who
She's not like most girls.
she put on a great match with Natty to close out the year. I mean, just her match against Alexa Bliss was fantastic. Who it's crazy that Alexa Bliss wasn't on any of our lists this year. She's not on my list. She had a rough year.
She had a rough year.
And before I continue too, like I said, Ronda had an amazing year. There's not a lot more we could say about her. She's just going to continue to grow, continue to get better, and I think she's going to be the face of women's wrestling for a while.
Well, I didn't even have Charlotte on my list because I think she's
Right.
like.
And that's what I was going to say. I was going to say before I continue, it's crazy that the women who had these years, Natty had a great year, Charlotte had a great year.
And she did.
And I'm sad, I'm very sad that my favorite, who's been my favorite for years, who's been on every one of our end of the year list, is not on anybody's this year, the boss Sasha Banks, man. She just, you have to really step up, and with the way women's wrestling is, you got to really outshine everybody else, and unfortunately this year didn't work out that way.
Well, I mean, she might come back under this next year. She's got a women's match against Ronda Rousey. We're at Rumble.
At Rumble, so
she might step back up.
Hopefully, she comes back up. Okay, so continue with my list. Speaking of stepping up this year, number 2, I have Toni Storm. She won the Mae Young Classic. She, excuse me, she had an amazing year. NXT UK. She wrestled in the NXT UK Women's Title Tournament, losing in the finals to Rhea Ripley.
Who is phenomenal.
Oh man.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley deserves to be on the list
She's
too.
bad.
But she had an amazing year. Just dealt with a back injury that she just wrestled through and toughed out. And then, of course, she's going through like a lot of personal stuff right now, which we won't even talk about. But she's fighting through all of that. And then I know it's 2019 already.
It's 2019.
I keep harping on that already, but she just became the NXT Women's NXT UK Women's
fantastic
champion.
match.
So
Holy
yeah,
shit.
I think 2018 was a good building block. Setting the building blocks for her, setting the base. And 2019 is going to be like her liftoff, man. She's going to really have a good year in NXT UK and possibly NXT and possibly main roster. I don't know.
I kind of don't want to see.
And she's beautiful. I have a crush on her too.
Do you?
Yeah.
I like her being there. Like
Yeah, it's cool to
it's
see.
kind of like a big fish in a little pond syndrome, but
Yeah.
why get lost in the universe?
Yeah. And then number 1, no need to discuss Becky Lynch. She's the man. We've already talked so much about her. Becky, we love you. You kick ass and you deserve it. So.
Hashtag love. All right, so we're gonna go from the female superstar of the year to the male superstars.
This one was really hard for me.
Right?
If you look at my notes, I got so many names. I got names scratched out. I got names in different orders. It was hard for me. I have my number 1, who just was the standout for me, but everybody else after that was tough. But go ahead. I digress.
All right, number 3 for me. Let me see here. The Velveteen Dream. Wow, what a year for that dude.
Yeah, that guy
phenomenal.
really set the tone for his career. Basically, like he figured out who he was,
right,
and he just let it go all out there.
And he's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is Cody Rhodes. Talk about a guy who did his own thing.
He really bet on himself.
He really bet on himself.
He did.
And
he went all in.
And
now he's going
double or nothing. And then it's going to be a full house or something. But no, Cody Rhodes, man. He made that list probably the end of 2017. And
he pretty much checked off.
He checked off everybody and he went everywhere. I mean, his schedule was all over the globe.
Oh yeah,
world champion, all in.
Yeah, I think he's the only person to ever wrestle in the same within the same year. Was it
WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom,
and Slammiversary, and what's the Ring of Honor's Final Battle?
Final Battle.
Yeah, all 4 of the major.
No one else
and
can
all
say
in.
That. And all in. No one can say that.
Yeah.
So kudos to Cody, and my number 1, the shittiest piece of shit heel of all year, the best Twitter game ever, Tommaso Ciampa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's there. He's
Very
there.
cool.
I always like to mix it up on my number ones here.
Yeah.
So, man, no one had a year that he had. The story that him and Gargano have been telling for 16, 18 months, phenomenal. Yeah, that's who I have for my
Your top three.
top three.
My top three as well. My number three goes out to Velveteen Dream. He stepped up tremendously, and he's got his name in our mouths. I mean, who would have thought we were talking about Velveteen Dream? A couple years ago when he first came out. I remember being at an NXT show here in Fresno, and Velveteen Dream came out, and I thought to myself, "Shit, I'm gonna take a piss." And now, like, Velveteen comes out, you're like, I don't want to miss a damn thing that he's doing because he's so fucking
I'm gonna
awesome.
take a piss right here.
That's the perks about being diabetic. That's your excuse. My number two male of the year is Pete Dunne. Oh, what, 600 days as champion?
Yeah, it's a little over 600.
A little over 600. Well, it's 2019, so we got to count back
Right.
to 2018, yeah.
So 589 days, yeah, whatever it was.
He is bad. Pete Dunne, British Strong Style, and I mean, he makes me want to have a bear on my knee. Like, he's a badass male. My number one male of the year, and you're going to like what I did here, was Becky Lynch. She's my man. She's my man
Get
of the
out.
year.
Where's the
Get out of town.
That's why Becky Lynch was on my female list, because she's on my male list. Becky Lynch, you're the man. And you transcend all time and space, baby.
Wow.
Becky Lynch is my
Hey,
number one.
If
that's
I
good,
didn't
though.
give the disclaimer that this was our fucking show and we can do whatever we want at the beginning, then
Now, this is
I
a
would
disclaimer.
I
This is our
would
fucking
be,
show.
I would be complaining, but all right.
I'm rating ourselves, or I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Send it home, my brother.
All right. As always, man, this is so hard for me. I respect so many of those wrestlers who go out there and just put on like the craziest matches for us and stuff. I have an honorable mention list. Cody's on it, Velveteen's on it, Pete Dunne's on it.
So they're not even in your top
They're not
three?
even in my top.
Wow.
Penta's on it. Ricochet's on it. Okay, so my number three, man. I don't know who my number three is, man.
It's hard.
I have
It's hard.
two wrestlers. I scratch them out. I add them back. I put one. I scratch them out. Put the other. I'm gonna list them both as my number three.
Go ahead.
It's a tie.
It's our show.
It's a tie. Seth Rollins, who
Come back.
had an amazing year. He had that longest match ever
Yeah, on Raw,
Uh,
that over an hour.
Yeah, well, the whole match was about 2 hours, but he was in it for like an hour
Yeah.
and 15 minutes.
And which was a
that-
great match.
Yeah,
I mean,
gauntlet.
usually a match that long, you kind of change the channel, you kind of get up and do something. I sat there for it.
In
I
the
sat
gauntlet
there.
match, going into WrestleMania, the triple threat match against Miz and Finn Balor, and then wrestling Miz later in the year. Just his feud with Ambrose has been good. A little bland. That's why he's my number three. It's not anything that they're doing. The wrestling is phenomenal. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a weird.
Been there, done that type thing. Just traded places.
Yeah, maybe. So if the rumors are true, he's going to be the man of 2019. Supposedly, he's one of the high picks to be the winner of the Rumble. So we'll see. But he had a great year, and neck and neck with him. The reason I couldn't pick him as the solid number three, Aleister Black. Great run with the NXT title. Great matches with, excuse me, with Velveteen Dream, with Ciampa, with Lars Sullivan, with all these guys.
If you could say you had a great match with Lars Sullivan.
Yeah,
You know
the
you're a fucking
cage
great
match
dude,
with Gargano. I mean, just his feud, Almas, wrestling Andrade Almas. That was fantastic, and Almas should be on my honorable mentions too.
And almost has his Aleister Black's wife
Yeah,
on his side.
right? Yeah, yeah. Almas is up there too in my honorable mentions.
Kudos to Aleister Black.
and before I continue, I didn't put Daniel Bryan on my male of the year because he's my favorite wrestler, like probably of all time. So
So you'd be a little bit biased.
yeah. Number two, Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
How can we not talk about the male of the wrestlers of the year and not mention Kenny Omega? His matches with Naito, Okada, Cody, the Golden Lovers, we've already discussed those matches. Him and Ibushi wrestling the Bucks was
Great. Phenomenal.
amazing. The probably one of the best matches story-wise, the best story told in a match.
Yeah, that's
probably
true.
all
That's
year.
true.
Yeah.
And then his match with Naito, his match with Okada, he had the the matches with Okada this year, the 5 or 6-star matches, whatever it was. It went from 2017 into 2018, and so it was like great to see. Like he got the spotlight. He got the number one to be. He got the spot in New Japan. You're our guy. You're our number one guy, and he earned it.
And that's a big thing because, like I said before, New Japan, you earn that shit. They don't have it written down where you're gonna be.
Gaijin, being a foreign wrestler, he earned the top spot. So that was really cool to see. And my number one, 2 years in a row. He was my number one last year.
I remember.
He's probably my current favorite wrestler, man. I just love seeing all of his matches. Johnny Gargano. He's an underdog. He's a heel now, which is awesome.
Coming back with DIY.
He's undersized. He's probably not expected to be as great of a wrestler as he is, but he is fucking fantastic.
See, I see a pattern with you. Not to, but growing up, because we're brothers, of course. But you were always a Bret Hart fan, who was always a smaller guy underdog. Then you go with Daniel Bryan, who was always a smaller guy underdog. And these guys, you love them, and they become international superstars. So for you to be a fan of Johnny Gargano, is he next to come up? Is he going to be the man?
I hope so. I really do. I'm afraid of what WWE is going to do with him because he is undersized. I mean, all due respect to the 205 Live guys, but
you don't want to see him on
I'm afraid they're going to throw him on 205 Live.
Hideo Itami. Excuse me.
Or I'm afraid he's going to get lost in the mid-card shuffle on SmackDown. Or Raw, but I'm assuming he's going to go to SmackDown.
Raw sucks. Donkey Balls.
But man, Johnny Gargano, his match with, well, we're going to go into match of the year, but his matches this year, Almas, Ciampa, Aleister Black, I mean...
The whole storyline with Black.
The whole storyline.
Yeah. That was like a 8-month arc.
Man. That was an old school NWA storyline. Ric Flair breaking Dusty Rhodes' arm in the car. That's the shit right there.
Make it good. Put the black dot over...
So,
good stuff.
Yeah, Johnny Gargano is one of my favorites. I'm super pumped. We'll talk a little bit at the end of this, but I'm going. Like I said, we're going to the Royal Rumble. I'm going to NXT, so I'm pumped to see him live. So yeah.
And now for the main event of the evening, I'm talking about the match of the year. This was hard for me, and
the thing is, we watch so much wrestling. Not just WWE. WWE does stand out, and a lot of our matches probably will be WWE matches, because
they saturate the market.
I mean,
you got 3 hours on Monday, you got 2 hours on Tuesday,
we watch
3 hours on Wednesday.
We watch that mostly. We do watch other brands, New Japan, Ring of Honor, things like that. But I mean, I think, and I don't even know what your guys' matches are, but I'm assuming they're going to be mostly WWE matches.
You're wrong.
Oh, okay. But I think these guys deserve it. So,
right.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I do want to do one honorable mention, and it's kind of close to our heart. It was an event that I missed. But it was a Best of the West event in Santa Cruz, California. It was the Ultimate Finesser, Chris Bay, defeating the California Black Sheep, Mike Rain, for the title. Mike is a great shit heel, and Chris Bay was obviously cheered, but when he started to, he was coming back, and the crowd, they were already behind Chris, and then, he's going to do it. And he beat Mike Rain for the title. He's still champion. It's been 6-8 months. So, man, that was one of my honorable mentions. Number 3 for me is the NXT North American Championship ladder match.
I almost put that on my list.
6 superstars with Ricochet winning. Anybody in that match could have won the title, and I would have been okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
But Ricochet winning the title, phenomenal. They topped the main roster every show, every takeover, and that right there that should have been my number 1. Number 2 for me was Jericho versus Omega at Wrestle Kingdom. Nice. 67 days ago or whatever. Phenomenal match, phenomenal storytelling. Chris Jericho is like the Renaissance man. He's like a fine wine. He gets better with age every match. Another guy that was in he was at all, he was at WWE events. Mm-hmm. He was at New Japan. He was at All In. And Chris Jericho is still being talked about. He just signed a 3-year deal with AEW.
He's no longer on WWE's.
He's in the alumni page. And number one for me, match of the year. Even though the match I thought wasn't the best match, but I'm saying it's match of the year because the story leading up to this match and the ending of the match and the winning of the title, I'm going with Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis. Cody winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
It was a hell of a match.
Hell of a match. It was really slow. I mean, it wasn't even the best match on the show, but
it just had a slow build.
It was just like a culmination of everything, and it was a great match, and that's my match of the year. To end it out, the golden mic or whatever, the black bass.
Gold trim black bass.
Gold trim black bass.
My number 3 is it my turn.
Your turn.
My number 3 was also that NXT North American Championship ladder match. I'm a huge fan of Ricochet. I love that he won it, but I kind of would have liked to have seen the belt on The Dream. See where Velveteen would have taken it. See if he would have turned the leather purple. I just kind of want to see that a little bit. But other than that, I mean, that was a great match. My number 2 match, which was kind of surprising to me, but it just stood out to me because it wasn't like a great technical match. It wasn't like a great. They showed it on the Pop Network. Was LAX Old School versus LAX New School. You got Ortiz and
that was a great match.
That was a great match. That's the street fight with Conan and then
Conan's old ass.
Conan's old ass.
We don't give Impact a lot of love. And it's getting better. It's
stepping up. It's stepping up.
So for that match, because of that, we don't talk a lot about the wrestlers on Impact, which is unfortunate because they do have a lot of great wrestlers. But LAX, man, those guys,
those young guys, the younger version.
Yeah, Santana
and Ortiz, and
those guys are badass, man.
They beat Homicide and Hernandez.
Yeah.
And then at the end, who was Homicide and Hernandez guy? What's his name? Their manager's guy's name is. It's not Conan, the other dude, the other Mexican dude that stepped up. I don't even know what the guy's name is anymore. I apologize. I'm sorry. But he's down and he's bloody and he's down and he's telling Conan like hit me. Conan, Eddie Kingston. That's right. I apologize, Kingston. I'm a big fan. But he's telling Conan like hit me and he's you're not gonna do it. You lost your edge and Conan's like here you go motherfucker and he did it like it's cool like it made me feel like a kid again seeing a fight in the street and like. You get those little butterflies and you get excited and you see that shit and it made me excited. I popped. I was by myself in the living room and I was like, oh shit! And then
woke up the
baby woke up and I was like, shit, I gotta watch the baby. But sorry, Kenny, I love you. But that was my number 2 and my number 1 was the Young Bucks and Omega and Ibushi. Like, oh man, you said earlier with that storytelling and just. Seeing it, like I remember, I think you came over that day. You were at the house, and like we watched like all 6 hours of it. And it didn't even feel like 6 hours. Like we were in it from beginning to end, and just knowing the storyline and knowing what was going on in the back, and knowing that Nick was fighting with a bad back, and like it was a great moment in wrestling and a great moment in family because me and my brother bonded.
All right, my match of the year, number 3. This was tough too. We have.
It was a tough year.
So many great matches. There's a million honorable mentions. I'm not gonna say them.
Anything Baron Corbin do?
Nothing that Baron Corbin did.
Hell no.
We had
a Who Shit the Bed award.
Okay, actually, I do have one honorable mention. Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. That match was
pretty good.
Better than I expected. I thought they were just gonna have Brock beat the shit out of Bryan the whole time, which is how it started. For a good 5-10 minutes, it was all Brock. And then it was awesome when Daniel Bryan got some momentum and started getting his shit in. And then it was like, whoa, he might actually win this. You know? Unfortunately, he didn't. But anyway, moving on. My number 3.
Just because of Vince's boner for big guys.
My number 3, Becky and Charlotte at Evolution pay-per-view, the last woman standing.
Phenomenal.
That was an amazing match. That led to Becky becoming the man.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
She was already the champ, but that the ladders and the kendo sticks, and then Becky jumping off the ladder onto the announce table and that leg drop, and it was just awesome. And then at the end pushing she pushed Charlotte off the top, and then Charlotte fell out to the tables.
Yeah.
That was just amazing.
Who would have thought you'd see girls wrestling like that? I mean,
Yeah.
women. I apologize. Who would have thought you'd see women?
And I think this
wrestling
is the first time ever. I don't, you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the first time ever a women's match has been in our match of the year list.
I don't know.
Could be.
Could be.
You want to go watch the old hour-long
Yeah,
episode?
I don't know that we've ever announced a women's match as the match of the year. It's my number 3, but
It still made it.
still made it. My number 2 match goes all the way back to January, NXT Philadelphia, Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas. We already talked about both these guys.
I love Almas.
The match was great. They were wrestling, just a tremendous match, putting their heart, in it. It was awesome. Sorry, we're distracted by Raw. Yeah, I see all 3 of us keep looking over.
I know.
there.
Well,
We should have turned that off. But to see all Gargano almost put all of their heart into it, wrestling an amazing match. I love Almas's backflip when he lands on his feet and then does the other backflip. Oh, just
and for being a big guy, and he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
He's probably over 6 feet, and he's just phenomenal.
And then I loved when Zelina Vega was running around to hit Almas, and then Candice just just runs right into the screen out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? And she spears Zelina.
She was in the audience, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was in the audience, and she just starts going to town on her, beating her ass. That was a cool moment in the match, which led, I think it kind of led into the finish, and then the finish. This whole great match was awesome, and the finish was like so unexpected. It was just a DDT.
Was it the DIY shirt that kind of?
No. It was, almost did the DDT. Off the draping DDT or whatever, off the second. And he finished. He pinned him. And it was like, whoa, what the fuck, Which was, I liked it. It was surprising. And I think going into it, everyone thought Johnny was going to win because he was so hot. The storyline was so hot. It
was his due time.
It was his time. It was his time. Everybody thought Johnny was going to win. I thought Johnny was going to win. And then he didn't win. When the whole Candice thing happened, everyone thought Johnny was going to win.
It's like, oh, he's going to win.
Yeah, everybody's like, oh, Johnny's going to win. And then Johnny didn't win. And it was like,
and that's a cool thing.
And it was like, whoa, shit, Johnny didn't win. And then the icing on the motherfucking cake at the end, Johnny Gargano's walking to the back. The little 2018 corner screen thing comes up. You think you're going to fade to black. It's going to end. And all of a sudden, Tommaso Ciampa comes out and hits him with a crutch.
That
builds.
Yeah.
And that builds to their feud.
And Tommaso standing there holding a broken crutch, looking at the camera. And you're like, oh my God.
That builds
and
to
Candice was all.
Yeah.
Putting her arms. Yeah.
That shot with, it was disgusting.
Yeah. And then that leads.
It wasn't a gimmick wood crutch.
Right.
It was that disgusting metal, and it was.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And that was just your number 2.
That was my number 2.
Jesus.
My number 1. Again, he's my wrestler of the year. He's my number 2 match of the year. But my number 1 match of the year was Gargano and Ciampa at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, their unsanctioned match.
Oh man.
They had, I think, 3 TakeOver matches this year.
Last man standing.
They did New Orleans, Chicago, and Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have been any one of them. All 3 of them were amazing.
Now they're poised to come back together.
Yeah, which is insane. We'll see.
But this is 2019.
But this is 2019. But the unsanctioned match in New Orleans, that's the match I picked. For me, that was like it's my number 1. It's the match of the year. But top to bottom, like in beginning to end, I made notes of things that made me like really. But from the beginning, when Tommaso Ciampa came out with no music,
I love that.
and he
that
just walks out,
yeah.
and he's like, "I'm such a fucking bad guy. I don't want no music. I don't need no lights. I don't need nothing." And it's just the crowd of boos, like just the crowd of noise. And I was like, "Ooh, here we go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
here we go." Like that. And then they wrestle. It's in the ring for the most part. They start, putting on a crazy match.
Is this the one? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is this the one where the handcuff comes into play? Where he beats him with one arm?
No. That's
Okay, that wasn't the other one.
That's the Chicago one.
Okay, that was the Chicago one.
So then the point where it turns, Ciampa goes to the crowd and he pushes the guy with the knee brace and steals his crutch. So that, and then they start getting brutal. They're using the crutch. They're using all the weapons and stuff like that. And then Gargano turns it around on him when Ciampa pulls the mat off the cement, and he lifts him, and he's gonna I think he's gonna DDT him or something, or whatever.
Yeah.
They get back into the ring, and you think, okay, nothing's gonna happen on the cement, whatever. And then Gargano jumps over the ropes and fucking power bombs Tommaso Ciampa
On the cement.
on the cement.
You can hear that back
No
slap.
padding.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed that replay I don't know how many times, and Mauro Ranallo's reaction, the crowd's reaction.
Mamma mia!
Yeah, Mauro Ranallo makes them.
Yeah,
makes
we should have an announcer of the year. That's all three. It's already Mauro Ranallo.
Oh yeah. You get it. You get the gold
trim on a black.
AJ Kirsch, you come in a close second, but Mauro Ranallo's sorry, but the reaction of the crowd when that happened, I was like, "Fuck!" Like this is gonna. At that point, it was already a top contender for match of the year. And then
it's funny how we watch so much wrestling, and it sticks in your head. You're like, okay, because we do think about the crew, and we do think about like, oh, where are we gonna film, and you make a mental note like, oh shit, that's gonna be that, that's gonna be this,
and then the finish, where they had that moment. I forget what exactly happened to Ciampa, but he had the bruising and the swelling of his eye. So that moment, like leading back to, where it kind of harkened back to their Cruiserweight Classic match, where they sat next to each other in the ring. They had given it their all, and they did that hug, So Ciampa's standing there with his bruised eye, and he's hurt, and Gargano's gonna fucking hit him with, I think it was a crutch or something, and he
got something in his hand.
stops, and he looks at him. And they go quiet, and they have that moment, and he puts it down, and he sits next to him. And everybody's like, Gargano doesn't have that edge. He doesn't have that,
that killer instinct.
That killer instinct. He's too soft. Whatever. So they have that moment where they're sitting there, and you think they're gonna have that hug again, and all of a sudden Ciampa grabs his knee brace and swings it at Gargano, and Gargano knew it was coming, and he ducked. And he gets him on that cross face.
With the knee brace.
Gets up the knee brace, pulls it across his face. Ciampa taps, and Gargano wins, and it becomes my match of the year.
Just like that?
Just like that. Pen drop.
Don't drop the mic. So, wow. I mean, we counted the whole year down from January to, January.
Right?
So, awesome picks, guys. It's been a fantastic episode 66.
Real quick, before we close out, I know we're trying to cut it short.
We have a lot of thank yous. I wasn't going to cut it off just
okay. I'm going to put you guys kind of on the spot.
All right.
Real quick, I know you guys didn't make a plan. As we were talking, I was thinking, he probably saw me writing.
I saw you write something, but I didn't peek.
One to watch in 2019.
Oh, man.
EC3.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, he can go out there and he can do it. So, I'm going to say EC3, but close. And he's in NXT UK as Walter.
Ooh, I like it. I wrote down 3 as we were talking. Chris Bay. I think Chris Bay he's already done amazing things. I think he's going to continue to have
just had a conversation about his future. Nothing he didn't divulge anything. He just he was backstage at SmackDown, and he was there for a couple days, and I'll tell you guys off air. But
his future's bright.
His future, it's so bright he has to wear shades.
Hangman Page. I think Hangman Page is going to flourish in All Elite Wrestling. I think he's going to be, if
A
not
top
their
guy.
first, I think he's going to be a champion there. And my one to watch in 2019, Mustafa Ali.
Oh,
Great,
yeah.
great dude.
He's doing great on SmackDown.
Fantastic on
Yeah.
SmackDown. He got brought up from 205 Live. I mentioned the thing with Becky earlier. Mustafa actually did something for me as well. I reached out to him.
He was the first to
I
reach
reached out
out
to him on social media. He responded to me within like 10 to 15 minutes, and was super cool. We actually had a conversation via social media, back and forth a little bit. But he was super cool. And this isn't the reason I'm giving him but I think he's going to have an amazing year. So, sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, we have a lot of people to thank. We were all over the board this year. We went to NXT shows. We went to Lucha Underground shows. We went to WWE
Yeah, we
shows.
didn't even talk about Lucha Underground.
I mean, we were everywhere. We were in a goddamn match. Did you think
That should have been our match of the year!
Man.
so?
That that was awesome. We got to live out a little bit of fantasies that we had growing up.
Right.
And that kendo stick, man, is no joke, man. Matthias, you fucked me up for a couple of days.
Everyone knows it's a work now. That was planned out, right? Obviously. So.
Oh yeah, we knew it was.
I had no idea.
We had no idea. So in the back, before we go out, we had the finish, and I told Matthias, when you hit me in the back, I want you to make it good. He's like, what do you mean? I said, don't do it weak. I said, swing for the goddamn fences. He's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah. Like, reach way back and just reach for it. And he said, are you sure? I said, motherfucking bring it. And he fucking brought
Well,
it.
that what you told him, he did on all three of us.
You had that moment, and so we're standing there, and you had walked back to the back, and he comes back up to me, and he gets in my face, and he puts his hand out, and I look, and he says, hey, he goes, Rated R. He goes, I just want to apologize, in advance. And I go, apologize? He goes, yeah, I want to hurt you. And I thought, I'm 43 fucking years old. You're gonna hurt me, like what? And yeah, man.
I have kids.
Go back and watch the show where we're driving home, and I'm literally fucking sitting there holding my head up because I was out, man. I don't know if I was partially concussed. I don't know what, but I remember watching it, and one of our friends, Nancy, made a mention saying something about, oh, I love that line that you said. And I thought to myself, what did I say? So I went back and watched it, and I'm like literally like slurring my speech. I'm like, I don't even realize like what I said. And Matthias, like, he's their new champion in CWA, right? He beat Toxic Trent. Our guy Toxic Trent. Hell of a match, and you deserve it, brother. Toxic Trent will be back, and he'll get that title back to the rightful place with the Ring Crüe. But
That's it.
For that night, man, you owned it. You owned us.
We want to thank CWA for that. We want to thank Best of the West. Big things for Best of the West in 2019. Got a brand new studio arena.
How's it look?
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah. You feel that chill in the air? Got
Oh
the
my
old
God.
ECW vibe.
It's awesome. I don't.
There's no word to describe
There's
it.
no words. So we want to thank everybody. We made some new friends. Mark World Order, Kayfabe Queens. Lots. I mean, we should have wrote everything down. We want to thank everybody who's interviewed with us. Chris Bay this year, Damian Drake. Even in 2019, we had Marty the Moth.
Yeah.
Awesome guys. I can't say enough about those guys. The Vegas talent. It was funny. There's 2 locker rooms in Best of the West now, right? And the Vegas
Heels and
guys.
faces?
No, but like the Vegas guys got there first, and they put on the door Vegas talent. And I fucking opened that door, and I said, "Really, Vegas talent?" And he's all, And that made me laugh.
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
want to thank everybody who's been a part of the show. Thank you for everybody who supported us. Thanks to everybody who bought merch.
Yeah, bought a shirt,
buttons,
yeah.
stickers, and I don't know. Just thank you. It's just 3 dudes talking about wrestling, and thanks to our sponsors. And
Eat some cookies.
yeah,
Great fucking cookies.
I will put all the promo codes in the description box below because we're gonna wrap this beast up. So as always, do what you do, but whatever you do, don't mess with the crew. We will see you guys in 2019.